Diablo 4 is an action RPG by Blizzard Entertainment, and as you come up to the 4th season and the big release on Xbox Game Pass, I thought it'd be good to just put together an up-to-date Diablo 4 beginner's guide with the 10 most important things I think every new player needs to know. So let's get straight into it. And I'll try and do this in the order of things you would do as you get the game for the first time. And I think the first thing you'll do is pick a class. So there are 5 Diablo 4 classes: the Sorcerer, the Rogue, Barbarian, Necromancer, and Druid. And all of these have completely different playstyles. Some are up close, some are ranged with magic, some have pets or minions. So definitely have a look around and see what takes your interest the most. I'd recommend using a leveling build before you get started until you have more confidence on how the builds work. I'm part of the Mobalytics creator program and would highly recommend checking them out for any builds. For Season 3, which we're now in, there are a ton of really powerful builds on there, from leveling to 1 to 70 to endgame builds from lots of different creators that show what gear you should be looking for, where to put your skill points, your paragon points, and then just a guide and a video of how to play that build. I also have all of my builds on there as well. My favorite for Season 3 is probably the Lightning Werewolf Druid, that lets you turn into a werewolf and just ravage across the map, just throwing lightning at everyone. Or if you're looking for a minion build, I really enjoyed the Summoner Necromancer this season, where you can just summon tons of minions and a big golem, and that was really fun, especially with the robot for this season as well. It was a really big minion heavy build. So yeah, check them out if you're new. They also have a UI add-on that lets you like follow the builds in game as you play, and then like a timer for the world events. But yeah, hopefully you find Mobalytics as helpful as I've always have done. So yeah, once you found your class, it's time to understand the seasons and how they work. So you have to choose if you want to play on a seasonal server or the legacy server known as the Eternal Realm. And if you've never played a Diablo game before, this is a seasonal game. So every 3 months, they add a ton of new content, new gear, new bosses, and new systems on a seasonal server. So everyone makes a new character, levels through the story again, levels up, gears up, tries the new end game, and tries out a new build. And then normally Blizzard will release some other new thing in the Season 2. So in Season 3, it was Season of the Construct, where you got a robot companion, you could upgrade him, and you go through these like trap-like robot dungeons. And then as the season comes to an end, your character is transferred onto the Eternal Realm with all of your other characters. And then a new season begins, and you start again. So I would highly recommend playing on a seasonal server as a new player. It has the most content, it's really fun, and it's where most of the players are. But if you'd rather just play old school, you can just play on the Eternal Realm. Next up, you have to decide what world tier you want to play on. This affects the amount of XP you get and the difficulty of the mobs. So as you get stronger, you can start progressing up the harder world tiers, and as you do, you get more XP and better loot. At the very start of the game, you can choose between World Tier 1 or World Tier 2. I would personally recommend Tier 1 as a new player because you'll be clearing mobs so fast that you will still get more XP. So I mean, that's been my experience than Tier 2, where even if you feel strong, it takes longer to defeat the mobs, so the more XP you get from them, it kind of balances out. Then as you hit around level 50 and 70, there are capstone dungeons that you can go and complete to unlock Tiers 3 and Tier 4. At around level 50, you'll head to a dungeon called the Cathedral of Light, and then at around level 70, you'll go somewhere called the Fallen Temple. But you don't need to worry about any of that until you finish the main story, and then it does kind of push you in the right direction anyway. Okay, so other than the main story, what else should you be working on? And there's a lot. It throws a lot at you. And as we're so far into the game, there's a lot of stuff that you could do. So other than the story, the number one thing I would be working on is priority quests. So aside from all the side quests, you want to look out for the ones they have like a little plus sign with a little bit of a frill around it. And they'll be named as a priority quest. And these unlock different systems. So anything that is so the side quests just going to give you XP, give you a reward, give you a bit of renown, but the priority quests normally unlock a system. So for example, there's one that shows you how to upgrade your gear, how to upgrade your potion bottle to get more health per potion, show you how gems work. So yeah, these priority quests give you a really good introduction to the game and a breakdown of all the different things that you need to be looking out for as you play. Okay, now the mount. This was the big selling point of Diablo 4. It was new to a Diablo game, a mount. And that was the first question I had was, where's my mount? Where's the mount? So yeah, you just need to complete a very early quest in the story called Donan's Favor. I think it's in Act 4, like right near the start of Act 4. So you get to the big town, you're in Act 4, you do his quest, and then you'll see the stables. If you go over to the stable, you'll be able to go and get your mount. And this is a huge upgrade because you'll be able to zip around the map super fast, get all the other stuff we'll talk about. So yeah, the mount is definitely something I'd go and get ASAP as soon as you can. Okay, now on to the big thing, the reason we play action RPGs, the gear. And it works the same way as a lot of other RPGs with common white gear, magic gear is blue, rarer gear is yellow, then at the very top end you've got legendary gear and unique gear. Gear also has levels too, and the higher the item level, the better the stats on the gear, to keep it simple. as you're leveling, just grab the highest quality item you can find. If a yellow drops, equip it. If their legendary then drops with a cool effect on it, equip that instead. That's usually just equip the strongest thing. On top of this, once you get into the higher tiers, so once you get into tier 3, everything gets replaced. So don't worry about min-maxing. So when you get into tier 3, every single piece of gear in the game gets replaced, or gets everything that drops in tier 3 is sacred gear. And anything that you get in tier 4 is ancestral gear. So that will replace anything from tier 3. So it's the same quality of gear. So you'll still have like blues, yellows, legendaries. But say a sacred rare that drops in tier 3 will be significantly better than a rare that you found in tier 1 or 2. So yeah, really don't worry too much about gear. Just make sure you're picking stuff up, you're equipping the better stuff. And then once you get into like tier 3, tier 4, then it's probably worth actually sitting down and going, okay, what should I be using with what spells and what works well with this build, and, you know, upgrading different pieces of gear, things like that. But yeah, don't worry about it at the start. Okay, and then another thing to note is the Codex of Power. So this is something that is unique to Diablo 4, and it is how the aspects work. So if you're following a build guide or you looked into any sort of meta build, you'll see people recommend certain aspects. And an aspect is basically the text at the bottom of a legendary. It's like the power attached to the legendary. And you can have one of these in every single slot. So you can have a legendary aspect on every single slot. And that can make your build from something basic to something really, really powerful, because there's a lot of synergies on the different aspects. So the way this works is you can imprint an aspect. So you can take it off of one item and put it on another. So say you find a legendary, but as you level, there's something called the Codex of Power, which helps even more. So this is basically a book that can hold lots of different aspects in it, and you can use these again and again and again. So as you're replacing your gear a lot, you can keep putting these aspects back on. So to unlock these, you just complete certain dungeons, or you complete like the seasonal objectives. Yeah, you can start to fill out this book with different powers. So as a new player, say you're playing a build, or you're just playing with no build in mind. You're just playing and you go, hey, I'm a druid and I really like these wolves. Open the Codex of Power, look for abilities that make your wolves stronger, and it might say, go do this dungeon. You just go do that dungeon and you get that aspect then. And then you can put that onto your gear. And as we go into season 4, they're revamping this. So the Codex of Power will have every aspect in, I believe. So yeah, get used to it now, because it's going to become a big part of the game in season 4. Okay, next up is Strongholds. These are locations on the map that are locked down by enemies, and you need to go in, defeat them all, and complete whatever objective is there. And that removes the enemy stronghold. So it's really important to do these, because as you clear out a stronghold, you can unlock new areas of the map. Some of these, when they're removed, reveal towns or allow access to waypoints that are near events that might pop up later. So they really help you get around the map, unlock more of the map, they unlock new quests. So definitely worth doing to reveal more of the map that you can play in. Next up is timed events. These are world bosses, legion events, hell tides, or anything they add for a seasonal event. Like we had something like a blood tide or something last season in the vampire season. So every hour or every few hours, or whenever these are set to come on, these events will pop up for a limited time, and as a new player, they are incredibly worth your time. You'll get tons of gear, loads of experience, good rewards. Some of these have like mount rewards and like mount trophies and just cool cosmetics. If you open your map, you can see when these events are going on. You can also go onto Wowhead and you can see like they've got a little countdown for some of the events on there. Mobalytics also has a really good add-on that lets you track the in-game timers of these things. But yeah, however you want to keep track of when these are coming up, they're definitely worth doing. It really sucks when you like step away for a minute, come back, and you've just missed the world boss. So yeah, definitely worth keeping an eye out. Only thing left to really say is, what do you do after completing the main campaign? And there's a lot. So here's some of the things to make sure you try and do. Unlock the Tree of Whispers. This is something where once you've unlocked it, you'll unlock it as part of the main story. I don't want to ruin how that happens. But once you unlock it, it unlocks these things called Grim Favors all over the map. And as you go and complete those, they give you experience and rewards, and you can hand them into the Tree of Favors when you fill the bar, and you get a big chunk of rewards. You can unlock Hell Tides in World Tier 3, which give you access to really important endgame materials. Then there's Nightmare Dungeons, which are like increasingly difficult dungeons that go up the higher level of a Nightmare Dungeon you do. You can work on filling out your Paragon board, leveling up your glyphs to put in your Paragon board, completing any of the seasonal features. Like Season 3 right now is all about upgrading your robot. There's also Renown, so every single zone has Renown, and the more you do in each zone, the more of this Renown you get. And as you hit certain milestones, you unlock things like a bit of gold, extra skill points, so that's definitely worth doing. But yeah, overall, just try and have a broad look at the end game once you get there, because there's a lot of different stuff to do, and there's definitely enough to keep it interesting, especially when you're new and you haven't done all that before. I think sometimes in a season, coming back as someone who's played every season, it can feel a bit repetitive, but when you're new, there is a lot of stuff that's fun for a long time. So yeah, definitely get involved with a bit of everything because it's not as overwhelming as a lot of other ARPGs out there. But yeah, that's it for this video. 10 hopefully really helpful tips for a new player just getting into Diablo 4. If it has, consider subscribing to the channel. I make guides every single new season, especially leveling builds for each season to get you to 70 as fast and as smooth as possible. I'll also link down below Mobalytics. It's a site I'm very fond of and work with a lot, and I have all my builds on there as well. But yeah, that's it. Take care. I hope you enjoyed Diablo 4. If you're new, let me know what class you're going with. I'm really curious. I always want to know what someone mains first because I went with Sorcerer and played that for 2 seasons and loved it. Let me know what you've gone for. And if maybe you're just watching this as a veteran just to see what's in here, if you have any tips for new players, let people know because this is a big game. There's a lot to know, and you know, this video could be a lot longer with lots of smaller stuff, lots of bigger stuff, but I didn't want to go too far into the end game. I didn't want to cover anything that is explained in game as well. So hopefully this is enough. But let other people know if there's anything I've missed. But that's it from me. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.